it's Christy with Addicted to Decorating, and today I wanted to pass along to you a few tips that I've learned about decoupage. I've done several different projects in the past using decoupage, and I've always used Mod Podge, and I get wonderful results when I use it with fabric, but when I use it with paper, I have always been really disappointed with the results because my paper ends up wrinkling and it just looks really sloppy. But a few days ago, I worked on a project for a young girl, a chest of drawers, where I did a little paper decoupage on the drawers, and it turned out really, really nice because I used a different technique. So I wanted to pass that along to you in case any of you are going to attempt any kind of decoupage project, and you can use this so your paper won't wrinkle. In the past, what I've done is I've taken the Mod Podge and used a 1-inch brush, and I put a fairly generous amount on whatever it is I was working on. And then over the top of that, I would place the paper, and then I would smooth it out, and then I would immediately put a generous amount of Mod Podge over the top of that, and then I would let it dry. But it never worked. It always ended up wrinkling, it ended up lifting on the edges, and it was just really, really frustrating. So this last time I decided to try something a little different, and here is what I did. Okay, so what I have is just a few different pieces of scrapbook paper, and then I also have a 1-inch Purdy paintbrush. This is my favorite kind of paintbrush. I use it for just about everything. And then I have Mod Podge in a matte finish. Now, of course, it comes in different sheens. You can use whichever one you like. I just personally prefer the matte finish. So you can use it straight out of the little jar, or you can pour it into a bowl or something like that. I just like to use it straight out of here. So what I do is I just take my paintbrush and I put a relatively thin layer of Mod Podge. You don't want it to be too thick. And I think that was one of the mistakes I was making in the past, is I was using way too much. So just spread on a thin layer on the area you're going to put your paper. And another thing that I did to get the smooth finish is I took one of my papers and I just kind of fanned it like this so that it's not super wet when you're putting the paper on. Now if you've done that for just a few seconds, go ahead and put the paper on and smush it around all the way around the edge with your finger and then into the center. And that's not going to cooperate with me. Now once you have all of your paper on there, you're just going to let it dry. Just let it dry like this. Maybe come back every couple of minutes and run your finger around the edge, push it down in the middle just to be sure that no bubbles are forming, no wrinkles are forming, and to be sure that it's not curling up on the edge. Okay, now once that is good and dry, and you can see that there are no wrinkles, no bubbles, no raised edges, then you are ready to go back and put the top layer on. And of course this just seals in the paper. It really is a pretty good sealer. You don't want to use this if you're going to use it in a bathroom or anything like that. Or I should say, you don't want this to be your final coat if you're going to use this in a bathroom. You would want to go over it with a water-resistant sealer. But just for normal use in other parts of your home, this really is a very good sealer. And on the top, you can put, you know, a pretty generous coat. And you're going to want to put probably 2 coats. I like to use 2 coats. You can use more if you feel like you need to, but I have found that generally 2 coats is enough for most of my projects that I'm doing. So once you get your top coat on, just set it aside and let it dry completely, and then you can come back and put your second coat on, and then you should be done. There should not be any wrinkles, there shouldn't be any raised edges, no bubbles, nothing like that. If you've let that undercoat dry really well, then it should give you a very smooth finish. So I hope that you can put this to some good use. I sure wish someone had taught me how to do this a few months ago. It would have saved me a lot of headaches. I've decoupaged a table, and I've decoupaged a few other things, and I always had wrinkles and bubbles, and it was so frustrating. So I hope that this can save you some trouble as you go and decoupage your projects.